Tyler, what did I tell you? Don't stop recording until I tell you to stop recording, you idiot. Oh, you're recording? My bad. Hey guys, so welcome back. What is up, squids? Welcome back to another part in the MT09 SP build series. This video is brought to you today by the awesome team at TST Industries. We have so many parts to go on this bike from these guys, and I'm really excited to finally get rid of this ugly stock fender on the back. We got a Fender Eliminator kit, a low mount because it looks better, and we have front and rear signals. Without further ado, let's tear this bike apart and get started. Just to give you guys a quick breakdown of all of the parts, we have the rear Fender Eliminator kit. This is the low mount option. We have the closeout kit, which closes up the holes left from the OEM fender. We have rear signals until they get an integrated taillight. We'll be using separate signals for now. Their integrated taillight is not done being designed and ready for production quite yet. And we have the front signals. These are the LED ones. They're super awesome. I know they make these for a couple different bikes. Some guys with Groms also have them. We went with the white LED glow color. You can do like blue, red, a bunch of different colors. And then we got all the harnesses and a little hardware kit, nice blue to go with the SP colors. Now, a quick note on TST Industries. Before I even started working with them to create content, I would order all different parts for them for all my different bikes. They make really high quality parts, and that's why I wanted to specifically work with them. I would never promote a company that I don't fully believe in and trust in, and TST Industries, really awesome team over there. They make great products, Fender Eliminators, taillights, signals, and they sell a bunch of other different stuff on their website. So I urge you to go check them out. Chances are they have parts for the bike you own. So the first step we have to do is remove the factory fender, which is a complete monstrosity. It's just, it baffles me how ugly each one of these is on every new bike that I pick up. They're just absolutely terrible. Some are better than others. This one is, I guess, not the worst one I've seen, but it's pretty bad. It's gotta go. So real quick, we have a bolt up here, we have a bolt up there, and then we have these quarter turn push pins right here. So we gotta take that off on both sides, and then we're gonna take out these two push pins and pull this panel off, and I'll catch up with you in just a minute. Now, I highly recommend a plastic trim removal pry tool like this so you do not scratch up your bike. You do not want to use a metal screwdriver to pry any of these clips out. You will end up slipping and scratching your bike. It's not worth it. Go buy this. It's like a few dollars. To remove the panel that was here, you just take out the two push pins and slide it right back. It'll come right out. And then you got 6 bolts that we have to remove with a 4mm Allen hex. So you got 1, 2, and 3, and that's on both sides. Now that all of the bolts are removed, we can start to remove the fairing pieces. Just be very careful because there is a tab that locks it into the taillight up here. So you want to swing it out from this side. Just work it and swing it out, and then it will release from the back there. So you can see that little piece. I'm sure some of you guys are going to end up breaking that. So be very careful. Clips into the taillight there, and just do the same for the other side. Once those pieces are removed, we want to make sure that nothing is in our way here because we have to unclip the wire harnesses. We have to undo these 2 plugs right here and that gray one with the yellow tape. That is your plate light. So we have to undo those 3 and then remove the cables from here because basically we're going to be pulling out these cables as we remove the rear fender. And to get the fender off the bike, we just need to remove these 2 bolts on each side. That came out surprisingly easy. You just have to feed the cables through the little hole there and take out those 4 bolts, like I said, and it basically just comes right off. So easier than other bikes. Some bikes are really difficult and kind of a pain to work with. This one was really smooth. The next step in this process is going to be installing the closeout kit so we can basically cover up the holes that are left behind from the OEM fender. So we have this little odd shaped piece here that has like a fork to it, and essentially that's gonna go into the hole that is here, and then the 2 metal pieces that are right here are going to close out the side sections right here. And we're actually gonna reuse the bolts that you removed with the OEM fender, and that's gonna bolt these right in the OEM locations here. So I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a second. Okay, so first we need to take out these two push pins right here. Those out, they come out really easily. And then return them to a position where you can reinstall them by pushing them right back through. Hopefully you can see that. Set those aside. And then we are going to pull this piece out. Now there are little retaining pieces, little clips, so don't just pull down, you will break them off right here. Okay, so we have this odd shaped fork piece. Now these two little holes right here, we're gonna have those facing up, and this is essentially the little tooth, whatever you wanna call that, is going to fit down and under like this. So we'll just put it on an angle, and then it will fit perfectly in there, and it'll close up the hole that was left from the OEM fender, and then we're just gonna put this back on. So make sure you slide it forward, make sure it doesn't unhook from down here, and then just reinstall the push pins. And you just push in the center, and they'll clip right back in. And that's that. That part of the install, super, super easy. Now we will take the rest of the closeout package, which are these metal bracket things, whatever you want to call them. The TST Industries embossing goes towards the front of the bike. The hole here goes towards the rear of the bike. It also says R for the right side, I'm assuming. So that's literally just gonna fit right here. And you're gonna take the OEM bolts with the Loctite on them and just thread them into the holes. That is a 12 millimeter, if you're curious. Make them snug, but don't over tighten them. And then just repeat on the other side. Now these pieces do have holes in them, and the kit comes with these two little black plastic plugs. So I can only assume that that goes into this hole. I'm gonna keep going just to make sure before I put them in there. But those are my thoughts, is that that goes in there, so we'll see. Directly bolted to the bike, it's actually going to use one of these rubber, I believe it's called a nutsert. And essentially what this does is you're going to take this plate bracket, you're gonna slip it in between the already existing brackets here, slits, whatever you wanna call these. It's gonna slip through, and then once this hole is behind there, you're gonna put the rubber nutsert in with the bolt, and when you tighten the bolt, it's going to swell the nutsert and basically make it so that you can't pull the bracket out of the bike. So that's how this fastens to the bike. Really creative and unique engineering and design for this bike. I would never really think to go that route. You know, normally your thinking goes, let me bolt this somewhere on the bike where there's a hole. So I definitely applaud them for this. Now, don't be afraid. This is gonna be perfectly sturdy. It's not gonna fall off. It's gonna work just fine the way they designed it. But it's a really cool idea. So I just admire the lengths that TST went to design a low mount fender eliminator for this bike. Not a lot of other brands, I'm not even sure if any brands offer a low mount option for this bike as of filming this video. So like I said, we're gonna take this plate bracket, the part with the two little holes here, that is for the license plate light, which we are not going to install. I just don't want it on my bike. But if you do want it on your bike, it's gonna attach to the plate bracket, and you would use those two holes with zip ties just to hold the wire and basically snake the wire underneath here up to the back of the taillight. But like I said, we're not gonna be installing that. So you're just gonna take this bracket and you are going to slip it in between here, just work it through those two little slits there. And once you see it pop out the back with the holes, just like that, then you know it's mounted. Honestly, this is already very rigid as is. I wouldn't trust to just leave it like this, of course, but like that's not going anywhere as is. So this is a very unique design. And then you're gonna take your little rubber nutsert and you're just gonna insert it into the hole. Might take a little you know, working to get it to fit properly in there. I might have threaded this in too far. You can also take a little like WD-40 sometimes and put it on the rubber and it'll help. Here's a closer look at what I'm talking about. So there you see the bolt and the rubber nutsert is up there in this open area here. So when you tighten the bolt, and you're gonna do this by hand with a 3mm Allen, you don't wanna over tighten it. You just wanna go snug so that the nutsert basically widens and it's just going to sit itself in there nicely and keep it snug so that this entire piece can't pull out. Next up, we're gonna install the TST pod lights, but before we do that, we have to put the brackets on, and these are really easy to install. You essentially just take out this bolt right here that is right behind the rear passenger foot peg assembly. This bolt doesn't even do anything. It might just be cosmetic. It might be for other platforms, who knows? But you're gonna remove that bolt and you're just going to simply bolt the bracket, one on each side. The longer section of the bracket that is like a little more slotted, it's hard to see in the package, but it's a little more slotted, that's what's gonna attach to the bike. And then the shorter, just round side, that is gonna go to the pod signal. So I'll throw these on and show you guys what it looks like. The pod lights are now on the bike and you can see the brackets that I was talking about. Now keep in mind, neither of these pod lights are completely tightened down because I want to make sure that I get them looking right. I want to stand back from the bike and, you know, align them how I like. So I'm going to do the wiring first because you can always adjust these at a later point. And by the way, the holes that are here, yes, those plugs do cover these holes. So we're just going to pop those plugs in there real quick. And then we're going to route the wiring somewhere behind the subframe here up into this this whole tray area that's up top, and we'll get the wires up here so we can then connect the harness and plug into the OEM wiring. Looks like the easiest way to run it is essentially right up through the rear subframe area. You're gonna guide the wire this way and just snake it up here. So it'll just come out from right there. The OEM bodywork is gonna cover this right here when you put the rear panel back on. So it's gonna be hidden. So that's a really clean look. Like you only see the wire ever so slightly right there, and then it'll all be hidden. So very, very clean design. And we will now attach the harness that TST provided. TST makes this really easy with the colors, I gotta say. Both of them are just yellow and black. So obviously yellow goes to yellow, black goes to black. And this is the harness that they created that allows you to plug right into the OEM plug. So no splicing wires here, just plug and play, very, very easy. Just make sure that the rubber sheath covers the metal. We don't want any interference between the contacts to cause a short, but these just plug right in and then cover it and then you're good. Sometimes these little metal pieces can be sharp, so be careful not to cut your finger when you are pushing them on. They can be a little stubborn sometimes, but that one actually went pretty easily. Now we don't have to worry about any shorts happening. Don't have to use any duct tape, or I mean electrical tape. And this should plug right in. I think the white connector is for the right side of the bike, which is the signal. So let's test it first, and then we can fix the routing. Here you can see I tucked the wires nicely, and I was right. The white one is for the right side of the bike. The black one is for the left side. You can take the wires and just route them through the little harness cable stay thing, just to neaten it up and do your best to make sure these wires are out of the way, that they're not going to get damaged by anything else. And here you can see a little test of the rear signals. So they both work, they both look good. All right guys, so the bike is back together. The Fender Eliminator is complete. So let's see what you guys think of it. We'll do some B-roll footage and then we will start doing the front turn signal. So here we have the GTR signal. This thing is absolutely beautiful, and it's gonna look even better once it's powered on. We got the white glow kit for it. Like I said, they have different colors you can choose from. It's gonna look just really, really clean. So we have to pull off the OEM turn signals, and luckily Yamaha has made this really easy on the 4th gen MT09. You basically just have to remove this panel here with 2 bolts, and then you'll have full access to just disconnect the cable and remove this piece. So I'll show you how to do that now. First, we need to remove these 2 screws to get this side panel off. Super, super easy. There's one up top, and then there is one right down here. All right. Then you're gonna remove the panel. Be careful not to break any of these clips. They can be a bit stubborn. So just wiggle it a little bit and they will unclip. Just be very gentle. You have to be like firm, but gentle, if that makes sense. So once that is off, we have the wires here exposed. Now, we're gonna focus on this top wire here, this clip. So we need to unclip it. It has 3 wires coming out of it. And we do need to cut the zip tie that is here so we can free up the wires. We can always add a zip tie later. And essentially, this is the wiring that goes to the turn signal. So we're just going to simply unclip it, or so I say unplug it by clicking the tab. Sometimes they can be a little stubborn as well. So that's out of there. We've got to cut the zip tie. Careful not to cut the wiring. Zip tie is cut. And then we can pull up this wire, and it might be a little tangled. Route it out of here without damaging anything. Okay, that'll make room, so then you can remove the plug that is part of the turn signal. It is routed in the cable stays, so just free that up. And then with this out of your way, you'll be able to have enough space to pull the wire out. Next, we need to pop the turn signal out. The easy way to do this is to just go in first. Once you do that, you are able to remove the clip that is part of the rubber grommet system here, and you need to remove that retaining clip piece so that you can take the signal out this way. This will allow you to kind of squeeze the signal because it's rubber, and then you can take it out as a whole, and I'll show you a closer look at this. So essentially, you have the back of the signal here, and you have this plastic clip retaining piece, and when that is in there, it doesn't allow you to squeeze the signal. It keeps it firm so it doesn't fall out. So you just need to pop that out, and you can do that by pulling on one of these rubber tabs. It'll pop out, and then you can squeeze this, and it'll fit through the hole nice and easy. So we do have to take the rubber grommet off of here, and we are going to be reusing it, so we'll remove that. We have a few different components here for this turn signal assembly. Now the LED portion of this signal, I guess is optional, but I am choosing to include it because it's gonna look sick. So we do need to grab our signal, and we need to grab one of the LED components, these little white plug and play things. And we need to take the wire from this and route it through this little canal that is here. So we're gonna bend it through that way, right? And put it towards the front. Careful not to damage any of the wiring here. It is glued very well, but just be careful. And then you're gonna take this piece and you need to insert it into the turn signal housing. And as you do that, you're gonna route the turn signal wiring through the little canal as well. So as you can see, you have the wire from the white LED thing, and then you have the wire for the turn signal, and they're both routed right through that little slit. So you're good there. Then you can simply take the plug on this harness, and you can plug it directly into the wire from the LED. So it is direction specific. You want to make sure you put it the correct way. So plug that in, cool. And then you are good to route the wires through the bike. So we can just simply route it through the hole where the turn signal goes. And then put this through here. Push the signal body through. It's got the rubber grommet there, so it'll hold it nicely in place. Okay, and then we need to take one of these black ratcheting, I guess, locks, if you want to call them, and we are going to put the wires through there. And the teeth are going to face the signal. So route it like this, and then these will essentially just lock on and ratchet. And that is what's going to hold the signal tight to the bike. And there you go. And just to show you kind of what that looks like, I'll grab the other signal, show you so that you have an idea. Here is the signal. Here are the here's the lock, the teeth, and you're basically just putting it on the backside, and there are little ridges here on both sides, and it's just going to click as you push it down. It'll just ratchet on there and get tight. And then if you ever need to remove it, you can just, you know, push the tabs a little bit and it should come off. I don't feel like dealing with that right now, but that's basically how it works, so you guys understand. Keep in mind, for this bike, you do not have to use these O-rings that it comes with, so don't get confused if these are left over. You don't need them. You can toss them right back in. Once that is done, we can route the wiring through here, through this little canal channel here. You want to tuck it away nicely, and then you can put the OEM wires back in place as well. Next, we are going to grab our harness adapter that comes with the kit so that we can plug this into the OEM connector here. These signals can be used on different motorcycles, so there are different adapter harnesses for different bikes. This one is the MT09 specific one, and the colors are really easy. Again, it's the same. You just match the colors to each other. Once they're connected, if you want to, you can wrap these in electrical tape for extra security, just to keep them as like one bundle and from unplugging. I don't think it's really necessary, to be honest. I'm not gonna do it, and if I have an issue later with them, whatever, I'll take it apart and then I'll just end up wrapping some tape around them. I think they're good. They do come with these rubber sheath things, so they're pretty snug on here and sealed. Once you have everything plugged in, what you want to do is get a new zip tie and just try to bundle these wires together and tuck them away nicely. Make sure they're not going to get damaged and they're not going to, you know, cause any issues with the fitment. But once you get it organized and put it through the cable stay, then you can just simply put the cover back on and put the 2 bolts in, and you're basically done. Here you guys can see the difference between the OEM and the aftermarket TST signal. You can see how nice that white LED color is, whereas on the side you have the OEM orange, and then here is the signal. Oops. Did not mean to hit that. Here are the signals, flashers. So still very bright and visible, but a lot more subtle on the bike. Doesn't stick out as far, and it's just a clean look. I really like it. Wow, that looks good. All right guys, so that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'm really curious on your thoughts on these front turn signals and the rear fender eliminator. I think it looks so darn good on this bike. Look at that, cleaned up the whole tail section. So I appreciate you guys watching, and I urge you to check out TST Industries if you haven't already. They make a lot of really awesome products, and they probably make products for whatever bike you own. If you have an MT09 or an MT09 SP, definitely check out this setup, the Fender Eliminator, the turn signals. I think it's the best on the market right now, and I highly recommend them. I'm super happy with the way this turned out. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.